Two people walk into the same room. One gets listened to. One gets talked over. They're equally qualified. They say roughly the same things. It goes differently anyway. Most advice about this is about performance. Stand taller. Speak lower. Hold eye contact 3 seconds longer. That's not what the research is actually about. Respect isn't a posture. It's a decision other people make, and they make it fast. 7 things that decide it. The fourth one is the mistake almost everybody makes, including me. And the last one explains why the harder you chase respect, the further it moves. Start with the thing almost nobody separates. There isn't one kind of status. There are 2, and they run on opposite engines. Researchers call the first one dominance. You get compliance by controlling costs, pressure, volume, access, consequences. They call the second one prestige. People defer to you freely because being near you is worth something to them. Both genuinely work. Both get you influence. That's the uncomfortable part, and it's why dominance never disappears. The difference isn't strength. It's what happens the moment your leverage disappears. Dominance is rented. It lasts exactly as long as you can impose a cost. Prestige is owned. It follows you out of the building, into rooms where you have no power at all. So the real question isn't whether people do what you say. It's whether they'd still do it if you couldn't do anything about it. Think about the last manager you actually respected and the last one you merely obeyed. You can feel which engine each one was running on. Now the ordering problem, because this is where good advice gets applied in the wrong sequence. In a classic experiment, people listened to a recording of someone answering quiz questions. Then the person spilled a cup of coffee all over themselves. When the person had answered brilliantly, the blunder made them more likable. It humanized them. When the person had answered averagely, the exact same blunder made them less likable. It just confirmed things. That's the whole rule, and it's an ordering rule. Vulnerability reads as confidence only after competence is established. Before that, it reads as an excuse. Which is why leading with your flaws in a new room almost never lands the way it does in the advice videos. Be good at the thing first. Then the self-deprecation is a gift you can afford to give. There's a version of this you can use straight away. Do not lead with the disclaimer. Sorry, this might be a stupid question. I'm probably wrong about this. That sentence doesn't buy you safety. It just tells the room how to weigh what comes next. This next one runs backwards to everything intuition tells you. The usual assumption is that doing favors for people makes them like you. Sometimes. But there's a stronger effect running the other way. When someone does a small favor for you, they tend to like you more afterwards, not less. The mind doesn't tolerate doing something kind for someone it has no feeling for, so it quietly adjusts the feeling to match the action. The size matters, though. Small favor, big effect. Big favor, and you've just spent something you may not have. Ask someone for a recommendation, an opinion, 2 minutes of their expertise. Not alone. And there's a real limit worth saying out loud. This only works when the ask is genuine. People are very good at detecting a request that exists to produce an effect rather than to get an answer. When they detect it, you lose more than you gained. And there's a timing rule inside it. The favor has to come before you need anything real, not the week you do. Now the one that costs most people the most respect, quietly, every single day. Somebody asks why you can't make Thursday. You give them 4 reasons. You think you're being considerate. What actually happened is you handed over a menu. 4 reasons means 4 things that can be argued with. 1 weak reason, and the whole answer looks negotiable. There's a pattern underneath it. Length signals uncertainty. The more words a decision needs, the less decided it sounds. Watch how people with real authority actually answer. It's usually 1 sentence, and then silence. The silence is the part people can't do. Most of us fill it, and the filling is where the ground gets given away. Same with apologies. 1 clear apology carries weight. For apologies for the same thing turns it into background noise. Say the true thing once, then stop talking, and let it be a bit uncomfortable. There's an easy way to practice it. Answer the question, then count 2 full seconds before you add anything. Almost every time, you'll find the extra sentence you were about to say made your answer weaker, not clearer. Here's a finding that will annoy you slightly, because it means you've been wrong about a lot of conversations. Researchers had strangers talk to each other, then asked each person two things. How much did you like them? And how much do you think they liked you? People consistently underestimated it. The other person liked them more than they believed, and the effect held for months in some settings. Researchers call it the liking gap, and the mechanism is simple. You heard your own internal commentary. They didn't. You remember the sentence that came out wrong. They remember that you were easy to talk to. Which matters here for one specific reason. A huge amount of respect gets lost to overcorrection. You assume it went badly, so you over-explain the next time, or apologize for something nobody noticed, or go quiet and let someone else take the room. The damage almost never came from the first moment. It came from the repair. Nobody replayed the meeting. You were the only person in the room running the tape. Now the one everybody agrees with in principle and almost nobody executes. If every request gets a yes, your yes stops carrying any information. A signal that never varies isn't a signal. It's just background. The moment you decline something, everything you did say yes to becomes meaningful in reverse. It was chosen. But the delivery decides whether this reads as strength or as hostility, and there's a real difference. A cold no is dominance. It works by making the asking uncomfortable, and it costs you something every time. A warm no is prestige. Clear about the answer, warm about the person, no lecture attached. I can't do that one. I'd like to hear how it goes. That's the entire technique, and notice there's no explanation in it. If they push, the move is to repeat the same sentence rather than reach for a better one. A second version invites a third. Reasons open a negotiation. A decision closes one. The seventh one is the most misunderstood idea in this entire genre. You've heard some version of make yourself scarce. Be less available. Be harder to reach. There's a real effect underneath that, and it's been badly mangled on the way to becoming advice. What actually happens is the opposite of what people expect. Familiarity generally increases liking, not decreases it. Repeated exposure makes people warmer, not bored. So distance doesn't create respect. Being unreachable mostly gets you replaced by someone reachable. The thing that actually behaves like scarcity is not your presence. It's your attention. Someone who is around, warm, easy to find, and completely present when they're with you, but whose attention obviously has somewhere else to be. That reads as a full life, not a strategy. And it's the only version of this that doesn't collapse when someone looks closely. You can see the difference in how someone answers a message. Not how fast, but how completely. 6 hours late and fully engaged beats 6 seconds late and half there. Speed reads as availability. Attention reads as choice. So here's the part these videos usually leave out. Every technique on this list stops working the moment it's visible as a technique. A person performing confidence is instantly readable. A person performing scarcity is instantly readable. That's what makes most of this advice actively harmful. And there's a much simpler frame that survives being seen. You cannot extract respect from anyone. You can only remove the reasons they were withholding it. Which is a short list. Be good at the thing. Say what you mean once. Let a no exist. Stop repairing damage nobody noticed. None of that is a technique. It's just what happens when someone stops negotiating with the room. And it's worth saying the uncomfortable half of this. Some rooms will not give it to you no matter what you do, and that's information about the room. And the test is the same one from the start. Would they still listen if you had no power over them at all? If that was worth your time, subscribe. One of these every week. Read people, not minds.